So I've been caught at my desk today doing a bunch of business, running through budgets and projections and such. And I got procrastinating a little bit, and I just started reflecting on my accomplishments over the last year. I've achieved things over this last year which I've never dreamed of being able to. So I just wrote down a list, and it just kind of overwhelmed me a little bit. So I'm just going to read to you what has all happened within this last 15 months. So it all started when I was asked to go speak at the BC Honey Producers Association convention. I had a beekeeper that bugged me about it, and finally I agreed and I committed. And after I did that, I simply panicked because I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm not very good at public speaking. I'm not comfortable with it at all. So I was panicking on how I was going to be able to handle this public speaking engagement that I signed myself up for. So what I did was I started making these YouTube videos to practice speaking, for one, but more specifically, one of the reasons why I was asked to speak at the BC Honey Producers Association convention was because of my social media presence, and they just wanted me to bring my perspective and what I had to say to their association. And the first thing that crossed my mind was, well, shit, they've heard me through text online, but they have no idea what I'm like. They don't know my way I talk, my mannerisms. My first thought was I was going to get there and they're going to say, ooh, who is that guy? So what I wanted to do was just to put myself out there, just to show people who I am, what I am, and what I'm all about in a first-hand sense, so they wouldn't be sticker shocked when I spoke to them in front of the convention. So I started making these videos. It took me a heck of a long time to be able to get used to the way I talk and my quirky mannerisms. After I was able to be comfortable with those aspects, after I was able to correct some of the tics of how I speak and such, I was able to speak more freely, and instead of thinking about how I was talking, I was able to think on what I was talking about. That's what started my YouTube videos. So I don't travel alone, and I make that very clear from the start. I travel with my wife. So they seemed to have no problem with that. So they invited both Sandy and I out to BC, out to Kelowna, and we were treated very well. And we had a good time. My presentations went very well, and I made a lot of connections. And that was the bloody well start of it all. After that, I kind of made a deal with myself to not say no. So easy to say no. Just anytime that you feel uncomfortable, no, I'm not going to do that. So I made a deal with myself. I was going to try to say yes to most anything that come across my plate, respectively, of course. Because of that, I accepted the nomination as director on the MBA, and as the convention come around, they voted me in as director. That is one of the steps that I've always wanted to take. Just that limiting factor, that challenge of mine of actually public speaking was always getting in my way. So because I was working on that, and because I was addressing that issue, and I was able to speak more freely, become a director of the MBA, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. So then I started accepting all these other speaking engagements. And the MBA hit me up to speak at their convention. At the 112th convention, I spoke on transforming sideline to a commercial type operation. We accepted the Pennant Valley Conservation District Award on behalf of the farm. Probably something I wouldn't have done. And as we accepted the award, I did a presentation on one of the reasons why our farm was nominated for the award. As a director of the Manitoba Beekeepers Association, I held a field day. I held this at my farm, and this was a huge undertaking for myself. just to prove that I could do it and just to show beekeepers what I'm all about. And there, I invited government, and I invited departmental services, all types of beekeepers, anybody related to anything to do with beekeeping, invited to my farm here. We had over 150 people show up, and I addressed the crowd. So that was a big step for me. And then October 9th, Tim Kennedy of the Red River Apers Association hit me up to speak at their regional meeting, and I spoke about honeybees and their changing landscape. So I don't know how many people are there, probably 75 or 80 people showed up to that, and spoke on that. And then Ben Little out at Nova Scotia, the Nova Scotia Beekeepers Association invited Sandy and I out to speak at their annual meeting. And I spoke 3 times. I spoke for 3 hours there on single hive management and just beekeeping on the prairies, and just on our bees and our changing landscape. So just pulled from my library there. Just love the countryside. We got lost along the southern shore there for a little while. We went down to where we were around Halifax for a while, then we went down to Peggy's Cove and got lost along the shore down to Mahone Bay, Lunenburg, and met up with beekeeper Ben Little. He's a fellow I've known online for quite a while, and it was nice to kind of meet up, connect with him and see his operation and such. That was super cool. So then on November 4th, Liz Schrader of the Honey Producers Association hit me up to come down to their association meeting down in Wisconsin. And that was quite the adventure. We went down and treated like royalty again. These beekeepers are just, they go over the top. And yeah, I spoke twice there on commercial queen rearing and just how we beekeep on the prairies here. So I gave them a little bit of prairie perspective. And then the end of November, we went out to the Saskatchewan Beekeepers Development Commission annual convention, and I spoke twice there, single hive management and beekeeping on the prairies. Those guys, boy, they treated Sandy like gold, I tell you. Very happy to participate in that convention. And along the way, I've been offered to go out to New Zealand to do a cross-country speaking tour. I've been offered to go to Australia for one of their major association meetings. I've been offered to go to the UK for a cross-country speaking engagement there. I had to turn those 3 opportunities down. It's just too much time away from the farm. That's a lot of commitment for me. But, the Bee Farmers Association in the UK are still within negotiation with me, and they maybe won't get me out next year, but they're looking a year out. They want to get in 2020, which is quite interesting. So we are considering it, and we're going to do. They may be trying to plan my trip out there to suit my work schedule a little bit better. We'll see where that leads. I'll have to give them an answer right away. I just listed off a whole shit ton of stuff I've done here that at one point in my time, like even 15 months ago, I thought it'd be absolutely impossible for me to even think about doing anything like this. I'm quite overwhelmed from it all. Traveling across the country like this is expensive, and my condition is I travel with my wife, so it just doubles up my cost. And these guys don't seem to mind that cost at all, just bringing me out to engage with their meetings and their association. And I find that quite the compliment. So I'm not really putting a lot of effort into this. I'm just, inspired every once in a while, just make a video. Nothing fancy, but just providing a little bit of perspective, behind the scenes look on what I'm doing here on the farm. It's pretty dry stuff, but it seems to be what beekeepers are interested in. When I make these videos, one of my intents is I'm speaking to myself 15 years ago. I'm providing content on these videos, which I was looking for back when I was developing my business and building my business all the way through. I was looking for those answers. I was asking all the questions. So I intend to keep making these videos, just day to day, just to show a little bit of behind the scenes. and provide a little bit of perspective on how I see beekeeping and our interaction with agriculture. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, and we'll just see where this journey takes us.